All right, so those are some of the details of Blue Whale Challenge game, which of course came to the limelight in Kenya specifically after a 16-year-old committed suicide. And we're going to continue with this conversation, but for now, we'd like to say goodbye to our viewers on the home channel on KTN Home. Life and Style begins now, roundabout now. But those of us on KTN News, we continue with hot topics. So those of us on KTN Home, kwaherini, have yourselves a great weekend. Those of us on KTN News, we continue with the conversation on the Blue Whale Challenge. All right, so one of the things that came out from that particular video that we've just played is the fact that they are targeting vulnerable youth, vulnerable people in society.
They actually say disturbed teenagers.
Yeah.
So, and that is what I was trying to address earlier. I think if we concentrated enough and spoke to them, then we would catch these things that disturb them before somebody would get to a point of wanting to watch something so gory as Blue Whale to the point of waking up at 4 a.m.
4:20.
Imagine someone in your house waking up at 4 a.m. na hata haujui umelala. Then they proceed to kill themselves. So I think as parents, we ought to be more involved, you know, get to know what our kids are about, get their laptops, get their computers, see what they're seeing.
And I think it's just generally, our society has become so detached from each other. When you get into the house, everybody's on their gadget or watching TV to a point where you don't actually know what's going on in their lives.
Maybe just to add on what Erica said, I think I have 2 points to make. One is, I think we have failed as parents because we have just decided to remove ourselves from the lives of our children. And we really don't know what is happening, whether they are, most of them actually prefer to Google late into the night. Sometimes you don't even know what's going on there. And then we allow them to just live their lives. Now, I've seen some parents, what they do is they actually engage themselves in this gaming, because I would be lying to you if I told you that maybe I'm not going to buy for my kid computer games or PS2 or whatever. But you need to participate. If they're going to play, I don't know the name of the games, you need to hold that thing and play with him and explore and know exactly.
One, I think it's called GTA. Apparently, it has also got some radicalization undertones in it.
Yes.
And it's a very innocent game when you look at it on the onset. If you found them playing, you'd not know. But the levels it has and what it asks you to do then leaves you in question. Maybe as we wind up on that so that we move on to the next thing, Smita.
You know, one thing I've learned like all these years in Pulse, especially like the teenagers, is that they want to be different and do something crazy, to feel very different. So when you've got some Russian psychologists, because this thing started in Russia, the guy is even in jail as you speak.
Yes,
he's in jail in St. Petersburg. When you provide something that is very radically different from the norm, teenagers tend to embrace it. But this is just 50-day brainwashing. It's like Islamic fundamentalism and so on. You know, you keep building up with a certain climax where you debase yourself. You are told you're biological waste. Get rid of yourself. Move on to a blue whale plane. It's sick. As to what to do about it, I'm not exactly sure in this tsunami of technology.
All right, and maybe as we wind up, France got a new president this week, and the youngest one at that in recent years in French history. Emmanuel Macron beat Marine Le Pen in a runoff. Well, what else would you know about this France youngster? Let's look at what, this young man. And seeing right beside him is his wife, of course, which of course has been an issue, or rather a subject of discussion.
Love is where you find it. If you find it in a 946-year-old woman, then sawa sawa. If you find it in a 50-year-old woman or a 60-year-old woman, then sawa. I don't have a problem. We would never have this conversation about Trump and Melania. So,
and yet the age difference is almost the same.
It's almost the same. So I think...
I mean, who gets to marry their high school crush? I mean, like teacher. Me, I remember a teacher used to call Iwoma. And I met her daughter the other day. The daughter is like in her 20s. But if I had married the mother, that would have been my fantasy at 17. But to make that fantasy... I wanted to marry the mother, but I was like 14 or whatever. This man went and clearly makes all his dreams come true. He said, I'll become president, but before that, I must marry this Mathe. So she was married even then.
Yeah. And she actually left her husband and
there we go.
Kids. And
so teenagers watching, don't give up on that.
On the dream.
33-year-old Mathe you're into. In class, you can't concentrate.
No, you can't tell them that.
That geography teacher will leave her husband and marry him and will become president.
No. Now you're going to make them go into blue whale.
I think for me, the most fantastic thing in what all these people are discussing is that age for them is not an issue. If it was in a Kenyan situation, I am sure everybody right now would be saying.
But we had one boy remember?
No, sasa kila mtu alikuwa anasema yule bwana wa shosh. Yeah, you know, and kama huyu ni shosh yake na amependana na shosh yake, I think it's a very good thing. People do not look at it differently if it was the other way around. And so for me,
Eric has quoted an example. You have Melania and Trump.
Yes. More power to that. And I think if it is setting precedents, I think all the cougars out there, more power to you now.
What I can say.
You the chair
more power to you. No, I'm not yet cougaring, but I don't mind dating young.
I want to combine Smita and Adhiambo. Now, in high school, there's one thing we can't overrule. There's that attraction towards people who come for TP and certain teachers.
Yes.
But of course, it's just the gymnastics of the hormones. After a few years, you realize this woman is, or this man is not that attractive anymore. So Mark Ho maybe just took it a notch. He genuinely fell for this lady, who, by the way, he calls his pillar. Now, the other bit I would like to say about love, just like Erica said, it doesn't matter. Love doesn't ask why. You can go to central Kenya, you can go to Kisumu, you can go to Rift Valley. You have the freedom of movement.
Well, let's just say that he put a new meaning to high school love.
Infatuation.
The infatuation and high school love.
It is love for you.
Now, as we wind up, let's take a look at the main story on the Pulse and the Nairobian, starting with the Pulse. Adhiambo, the Pulse, gaming to death. Of course, that's to do with what we just talked about, the Blue Whale Challenge. What else do we have that we should look out for on the Pulse?
Mostly the Pulse, you remember they actually had a, what was it called? A pool party where he does not remember the faces that were there, but it is well covered.
And maybe that explains why Stevens and Solo are not here.
Yes.
You think they're still at the pool party?
No, they're dealing with the ramifications
of that. But then if you actually read him on page 9, he's put it together quite well, Pulse Cover Girl Pool Party. And he's also there starring as himself, as the Smita himself is quite there. I think Margaret Ngenya has done a brilliant job on the game of your life, which is with all this. Page 12, you just have to see for yourself.
And 13.
Honestly, you have to see for yourself. If you check page 12 and 13,
is that that's a pool party?
Yes.
The picture.
Elvis and Felix did an excellent job.
Have you seen these fellows?
Yes.
It's great.
Where was this pool party?
Oh my.
It was at the Sheraton 4 Points in Hurlingham.
Yeah.
How come I'm never invited for this thing?
Talk to Solomon Coco.
Yes.
Yeah, become close.
Stay connected.
If you missed it, by the way, the MTV Movie Awards also happened, my personal best. So usually, of course, they break it down for you. That's on page 15. Don't miss that on the celebrity styles. Lots on groove as well. But the most interesting thing for me is these people have 2 pages of overhead. And it is also starring Calligraph and his skin tone.
Oh, yes, so Calligraph definitely has got tongues wagging.
Yeah, he's got tongues wagging, it's interesting. But then another umama situation, hapo katikati ya Mustafa and Prezo, you've got to get
Princess, and you skipped a very important page. Tonight, Chelsea wins the English Premier League 2016-2017 season.
I knew you
in our
had
game
to
versus West Brom. That's covered by Tony Ngare in the past. Tonight, 10 o'clock. Tonight.
And you can tell the passion right there.
Chelsea.
Nairobian. Security, we need help here. Nairobian Queen.
Okay, I think I'm just going to highlight 3 or 4 stories. Of course, starting with the lead. We have Moses Kuria caught up between beauties. The writer actually said a case that could perfectly fit the story of Beauty and the Beast. Not my words. Not my words. Please not. Please, these are not my words. I'm quoting. Now, I'm not going to divulge a lot of it, but there is definitely somebody who thinks that Moses Kuria is not such a bad person after all. Yeah.
And I don't know how true it is. Maybe ladies, you can tell us that most of these guys who are very hardcore, very abrasive in the public eye, apparently in private, they're normally very soft,
They
and
mellow
very
down,
tender,
yes.
and very.
I don't know.
But private where? Like in a hotel room?
Yeah. All
That is where he
Or
mellows.
even at home.
Yeah.
No. I think you're right. But Hitler was a very unassuming man, very short, very stout. You wouldn't think so much of him, but he proceeded to kill 6 million Jews.
Yeah.
Most big-bodied people like yourself and I are very gentle and kind, and
So really,
yet
that
we
is,
look very.
that is the situation. People.
So maybe you're right. Tunakuwaga watu very.
Okay, really now.
You have got a page 4 story about a man.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Yes.
Take us
The other story we have is on. I don't know whether to call him the controversial politician. We have a story on Tony Gashoka, a very depressing story, and you need to grab a copy. I think there's
Even
trouble.
the pictures, my
The
God.
He's
pictures
been
are
beating his
disturbing.
children or wife?
The story is very disturbing.
Yeah, it is
quite
disturbing.
It is disturbing.
Who
and
is he beating? See, we just say.
There is.
Well, it's in the paper, Capital
Yeah.
News. He is
Yeah.
danger to himself and his family.
Yeah.
And the pictures there tell the story.
Tell the story.
Yeah.
actually.
He's such a psychotic person. When we were in law school, we went with David McCarley. We did 74 days when he was inside. And that's when I first met Tony Gashoka. This is like way back. And even that wife who's there, I'm shocked she's still there. Because you look at those pictures, this woman, one of these days, honestly, might not be with us anymore. At this age.
Well, she
He's a man who has
definitely.
wrecked
She
his
definitely
family.
needs help.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We know the family personally. His wonderful sisters.
Yes.
He's eaten fortunes with her hostesses.
All right.
Okay.
A lot more in the Nairobian.
Nairobian,
As you
yes.
can
Olive,
see,
olive.
there's two very contrasting stories there
Yeah.
of one person who maybe you'd
Yeah.
have thought is mean, but according to a
Others,
queen and a
not
beauty
mean.
here, she's not. But there's also another story right there. So thank you very much. I think we'll have to wind it up right there because of time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hot Topic crew. Always a pleasure to have you in studio. So that's where we wind up Hot Topics this morning, and thank you also for staying with us. But do stay with us right here on KTN News. We are getting to the home stretch of the show that began at 5 a.m. Being Friday, we are starting the weekend for you. And on a reggae note, remember reggae icon Bob Marley, its 36th anniversary is today. Before we get to that, let's look at what's got in the latest hour. But first of all, we'll take a break and we'll be right back.